Guys who aren't good at dating, do you also feel like you can't have any physical standards? You can have physical standards, but you may not be able to attract a partner that meets those standards. If you want to get a partner at that level, you will have to put some work into improving yourself as a dating prospect. If you just want to get a partner, then you may need to consider loosening your standards. And this applies to everyone regardless of sex/gender. Damn. Even with virtually zero standards I have no luck. Have you tried being less awkward? Awkward_CPA? Of course. Why didn't I think of that? But in all seriousness, I think I can cure my painful awkwardness. Guys that get no play can have standards, but are forced to lower them to have a chance. Just the reality. Raw economics is unforgiving lol. Although on the other hand, economically speaking, an increasing supply of desperate men with low standards ends up deflating their value, and in turn artificially inflating the value of the women across the spectrum. Women who then raise their standards, because suddenly they appear to have higher value than they did before and so seek out better men to meet those standards. Which in turn means more men find themselves lacking opportunity and it comes full circle. If, for example, each man in that scenario instead did what a lot of women seem to do and maintained ideally reasonable standards and accepted being single as an alternative rather scraping the bottom of the barrel, then the entire dating scene would be radically different than it is currently. TL. Dr. Desperate guys are playing themselves and unintentionally making the entire thing harder for each other. If I go out to a bar/club, attractive women absolutely will not give me the time of day. However, all of my past partners and my girlfriend now were/are very attractive. The disconnect is just that women's initial selectivity tends to be extreme and isn't a good basis for calibrating your dating worth and self-esteem. Every once in a while you read a comment from someone on Reddit that demonstrates they actually get it lol. You're completely right. It's also highly setting/location/time of life dependent. I was batting way above my AVG in college, being in Greek life. Always doing socials, sororities and kickbacks/random frat parties we'd throw. Was fatter back then too, BC of living the unhealthy college life. But then post college, during COVID though, TBF, it got much harder. Small town, middle of nowhere. Not really willing to hook up college kids anymore, plus being a minority in a very white town. Only picked someone up from a bar once in almost a year and a half, and had to rely on a little Tinder success plus FWB from college occasionally visiting. And then I entered professional school. Got incredibly lucky by running into someone who is literally exactly my type plus more intelligent than me plus the literal most supportive woman I have ever met. Life is strange. The initial selectivity is tough. But every dude would radically improve their ability towards getting through that filter by dropping the weight and going to the gym. It's not easy, but it is simple. I know a guy who's very attractive, but he is kinda autistic and very introverted. Won't even look at people's eyes directly. I know autistic folks find love plenty, but completely anecdotal. Every autistic or socially awkward person I know personally struggles big time with dating. No, we do not find love plenty. It's the exact opposite. Sometimes anecdotal is accurate. Marital status almost all in the ASD population were unmarried at follow-up, with no difference between AD and PDD nose groups. 99% versus 92%. NS. Table 2. Compared with about 50% in the general population. Statbank Norway 2005. https link springer.com/article/10 10,7/S10311-1319-5. I was actually putting that line, so Reddit didn't reply to my anecdote with "I'm autistic and I'm in a relationship and all my friends are too." Still didn't help. Lol. Not really. I do feel I have to be realistic about what ballpark I'm in. But I also put effort into how I look, so that means I look for a similar effort. Plus there needs to be some attraction. Otherwise a date just isn't going to have that spark that leads to any flirting or tension. I'd rather be alone than with someone I'm not genuinely attracted to. That's not fair for either of us. Agree with this? there must be at least a certain level of physical attraction. Other positive traits can change this to a large degree but not completely. My mother always said in life you can either change your circumstances or lower your expectations. Don't date anyone you don't want to date. Just because it's dry right now doesn't mean it always will be. Just because it's dry right now doesn't mean it always will be. It can be the case. Yeah. After almost 25 years of being single, it's pretty hard to keep trusting that initial statement. 25 years single, as an adult? Like 18 to 43. Have you been living at home? I have standards, but am also prepared to be single for a while. It's a double-edged sword. If your only options are to be single, or with someone you aren't attracted to, being single is still an option. TBH. I'm not getting no attention from women. I get some. But I wonder if my standards are too high. And that's why I feel like I'm struggling. Won't change how I feel though. If I'm not attracted, I'm not going to be able to let something continue for long. If you suck at one aspect of dating, you should obviously try to get better at it. But if for some reason that doesn't work, you can make up for it elsewhere. A stuttering mess with a six-pack is still going to do a lot better than a stuttering mess with a dad bod. I'm an average looking skinny guy who is relatively active, so I hold the same standard for who I'm looking for. I'm not opposed to dating women who are bigger than me, but I find a lot of them don't really take care of themselves, and I'd rather be with someone who does. I'm not too picky about a woman's face, but I do have some standards in terms of weight, and would just rather date my body type. What is your definition of taking care of oneself? Because there are plenty of women out there who don't count calories and aren't super active, but they are still neat, clean, have fantastic hygiene, dress well, keep their nails in order and wear makeup. Similarly, there are thin women with horrific mental health who actually don't take care of themselves. Personality can overcome mediocre looks. If you're just F ugly, then you're S out of luck. If you're just F ugly, then you're S out of luck. As an undesirable ugly manlet, this is definitely true. No, the reason of having standards is to filter out people that definitely won't fit you. I'm not lowering my standards. I'm an AVG looking guy when I have my fitness and health in check, looking for an AVG looking woman. I think that's reasonable, and if I end up alone, so be it. As a woman, please do not FCK into this. Stick to your standards and do not settle. Honestly, just get better at it. Work on your communication skills. Get in shape. Pick up some hobbies if you don't have any. Get out and meet people. If you apply yourself to improving not just yourself, but also communicating, then you'll find it much easier to date. Nobody is bad at dating. They simply lack practice/experience. The topic isn't really dating. You can date while being an average guy with no effort. The question is, do you have control over the woman you want vs whatever gives you a chance? Be honest with yourselves, men. It's whoever gives you a chance and isn't ugly, isn't it? Be honest with yourselves, men. It's whoever gives you a chance and isn't ugly, isn't it? Yep. In my case, no woman gave me a chance. I understand your troubles, but it's okay to have physical preferences. Sexual attraction is very important in dating, and you shouldn't have to sacrifice that component. These women would also prefer being with someone who finds them sexually attractive. 2. Will you have to stay single for longer? Maybe lol. That being said, if you haven't already, examine your standards to see if they're realistic. If you're only interested in 10/10ths women, it's going to be tougher to date. Will you have to stay single for longer? Maybe lol. Some, like me, will unfortunately have to stay single permanently. I've dated the hot psycho and I learned really quickly that looks matter very little in a relationship. What's in their heart and what's in their head are the only two things that matter. Looks fade, and if she has nothing else, you'll be left with an ugly person inside and out. And I'd say most women agree with this, having experienced cohesion, creeps, aggro and controlling men who refuse to go to therapy, etc. Yeah, appearances don't count for a lot. I laugh cause I basically have a rule in relation to physical attraction and my dating. If I'm not physically repulsed by you, and you meet my values/behavior/AGTC standards, then you have a solid shot with me. I'm curious as to how that works practically. I reckon a fair amount of men would meet your criteria. Let you set your physical standards, not your pride. If she can make you hard, she is hot enough. Save your standards and expectations for how someone treats you and what they add to your life. Don't be lonely because you think you are too good for people. Relationships take practice, and the longer you wait the less you will have to offer. Plus, odds are once you get old you'll likely realize those girls you not picked would be pretty nice to bone, and you'll either remember a life well lived or regret passing up so many opportunities. The longer you wait the less you will have to offer. Explain this please. Standards are about what you need to be happy, not something you impose on other people. You have options. One of those options is being happily single. The only standards I apply to women are personal values. If they are bigoted or anti-academia or fascist, I will pass. So, thank you but no to conservatives. This is me men. Really hard at times to have sex when she has 8 inches of it to go through, when you're only working with a 4-inch stick. So yes, physical standards do apply. Nope, like any game, you just have to learn how to play it. Being good at dating is mostly meeting people and being able to carry on a conversation. A lot of guys fail at both though. You forgot the most important part. They have to give you the chance first. Otherwise you're just howling at the moon. If meet lots of people and have conversations with them, you'll start getting chances. Well, I've talked to a lot of people in the last 18 years and had many interesting conversations doesn't necessarily translate to success. No, I'm pretty into fitness and pretty active and outdoorsy. Just because I'm socially awkward doesn't mean I should give up on looking for someone who can join my active lifestyle and just go for the 400-pounders instead. That would be a terrible match in so many ways. I'd rather keep hiking alone than have someone complaining about me always going hiking and exercising. Having no standards is only going to cause you problems later. Better to have standards and make compromises you feel are acceptable than to just outright have no standards. Like for me, I prefer no obese women and no kids, but at the same time I don't mind someone with a little weight if there are other areas that they meet more of my standards. I also don't mind if they have a single child and want more. Obviously I'm still looking for my preference, but I can work from there and see if the women I talk to can meet other standards more. You can have a type, but I think the more picky you are about looks, the less likely you are to find someone who actually matches you on the inside. That said, physical attraction is important, so maybe while I wouldn't set standards for what someone should look like, I would just ask myself if I'm physically attracted to them despite maybe not perfectly fitting my type.